I want to understand something about the difference between life and death, or the transition between life and death, or the difference between the localized, limited form of consciousness and the universal consciousness. I'm thinking about this because my dad died just exactly a month ago. And he fell off the roof and he hit his head in the stone floor and died. But his heart was beating, I think, for half an hour or something. But I guess that, like, they said he died immediately, but I guess the brain stopped working immediately. And like, when does the localized, limited form of consciousness actually become the universal consciousness? Like, when does it contract into the form of the human being? In the belly? When? Like, what bodily functions have to work in order for what's the connection? At what point does it localize and then go universal again when you die? I understand it's maybe a difficult question to answer. Because I've also had like an so-called out-of-body experience when I completely left my body. Like, I forgot the human form, I forgot that there was something called the planet and language, words. I was gone. I don't know for how long. It felt like, when I came back to my body, it felt like I had been gone for eternities, and that I just came back with all the wisdom that's ever been known. And I came back to my body and I looked at my hand and I was like, oh, there's something like a hand. Oh, there's something like a word like a hand. There's something like language. Oh, there's something like a brain that can think that thought. And I just remembered the human form again, but it had completely left me. So what's the difference then between dying and just having that experience, or sleeping, or...
Okay. So imagine universal consciousness, which doesn't exist in time or space. Because time and space are experiences of a finite mind. So imagine you can't imagine. We can't imagine. I say imagine it, but we can't imagine it because everything we imagine is filtered through our. But try to. You can't visualize it, but try to imagine universal consciousness before it has assumed the activity of mind, and then and it exists in it has no dimensions. Can't think of that, but do your best. And then imagine mind. That human being mind consists of thinking and perceiving. Or that's the surface of the mind. There are deeper layers of mind. Think of the human mind as a virtual reality headset that consciousness puts on. It's a virtual VR headset made out of thinking and perceiving. So as soon as consciousness puts on this mind of thinking and perceiving, it simultaneously assumes the form of the world and localizes itself in that world as a separate subject of experience, from whose perspective it views its own activity as the world. So from the consciousness-only point of view, where there's no inherent stuff called matter. Matter is what the activity of consciousness looks like from our localized perspectives. That the body is not really a physical body, it is just what this particular localization of consciousness looks like from your point of view, just as the world is what the unlocalized activity of consciousness looks like from each of our points of view. So the moment at which the body is so-called conceived would be the moment that consciousness puts on the VR headset of thinking and perceiving. And at that moment it localizes itself within its own being. It seems to contract and become a localized self. And everything that is not localized, the rest of its own activity then is viewed as the world. It's exactly what happens when we have a dream at night. When we have a dream at night, our own mind localizes itself, puts on a VR headset, so to speak. It localizes itself within its own dream as an apparently separate subject of experience. And then all the other aspect, the unlocalized aspect of its mind, of the dreamer's mind, appears as the dreamed world. So when was the dreamed character's body born? It was never born. It just appeared when the dreamer's mind localized itself as this little activity of thinking and perceiving. When did the dreamed character die? It never died. The dreamer's mind simply stopped localizing itself as the dreamed character. So in the ultimate analysis, that the being that your father eternally is never came into existence, never went out of existence. He is eternally present. He, not the person of your father, but the being that your father was, is now the being that everything is, the eternal being that doesn't come in and out of existence. A localization of that being appeared temporarily and disappeared, but it was only a localization. Your father actually never came in or went out of existence.